Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to be putting some new stuff on my Kraton. So we've got the Max6 G2 ESC. This one has the Bluetooth, 200 amps, up to 8S, all that good stuff. And then we've got some XT90s for that because that does not come with connectors. So we're going to solder these guys on. I've got this capacitor for the receiver, and then I've got this mount for the Max6, so it'll fit in there. So I guess, and then, oh yeah, I've also got this fan, which I got on there, but I gotta finish wiring that in. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but so before we start, I'm gonna talk about why I'm getting all these upgrades. So basically, I've had a Max8 in here for a while. This is still the Max8 motor, the 4278. So I had the Max8 G2S in here. It was running really good. I was really happy with it. I could do like standing backflips, probably at least 70, maybe 75 miles an hour. Wheelies like crazy. Temps were pretty cool. Temps were pretty low. I mean, not super low, but weren't bad. Like, they were fine. And then the Bluetooth was great. So I was really happy with that. But about a week and a half ago, I was driving with my cousin Gabe and his family. So if you want to go check out Gabe's channel and all his cars, his channel is RC Kid 45. So he's got some great stuff. They got a bunch of XRTs, but we were up at this really cool kind of racetrack, and we were driving. So I was driving this Kraton against XRTs, and it's kind of like these like big hills, like figure eights. They're about like 20 feet tall, like kind of hills, and you kind of like wrap around, and there's kind of like some like thick dirt all around. So it's kind of like pushing a lot of dirt with the tires. So basically what I'm trying to say with that is a kind of really like high stress on electronics, and then I was pretty much full throttle or close to it for a while, you know what I mean, trying to beat those guys. So my ESC overheated a little bit, so I let it sit for about 5 minutes. I was like, that's kind of weird, but I was like, it's probably fine. So I let it sit for a little bit and then drove it some more, and it cut out. I was like, oh, my battery must have come unplugged. Nope. I was like, it must be like thermal protection. Nope. Just could not get to start. And then when I took it back home and was testing it, I could get it to work. Like, it would connect to the Bluetooth. I could get it to turn on when it wasn't connected to the motor, connect to the receiver, power the server, all that stuff. But whenever I connected to the motor, it just started up for about half a second and then just shut off. So there's a couple things that could have happened. It could have just overheated and blown something. That's definitely possible. Kind of my fault. Like I said, kind of too high stress for the for that ESC. I thought it would be fine just because it'd been so good up to that point. But also, I had a capacitor on it that was just a little bit dented. Basically, what happened is, the way I had it mounted at first was it was just kind of sitting on here with double-sided tape. And one time actually a couple of times, but the double-sided tape came off and the ESC just flew into this like bar right here and dented the capacitor a little bit. It'd been like that for a month, or like a month and a half, so I'm not sure if that was what caused it, but definitely wasn't good. I mean, hindsight, probably shouldn't have driven it with it, but it's like, what are you gonna do? Might as well. I mean, no point in getting rid of it if it's still working. So there's a couple things. Also, another thing that could happen that the Hobbywing team was saying was that sometimes if you have a really high draw from, like, say, a servo on the BEC circuit, and all of a sudden that draw like goes away. So say you're going really fast, turning full crank, you land on one wheel while turning. So you got a high draw while it lands. And then once the servo corrects, there's pretty much no draw. So sometimes that really high draw to low draw can spike the voltage, which will fry stuff. And actually, it turns out that on the Hobbywing systems, the switches are on the BEC current. So they're probably only rated up to like, 8.4 volts, something around that area. So it could have fried the switch, which is why it wouldn't work when it connected to the motor, because, you know, higher power through it, messing something up, some kind of protection. So anyway, we've got the Max6 now. The reason I decided to go with the Max6 is just because it's a little bit bigger. It'll run cooler. I'm not planning on running on 8S. Obviously, this motor can't take the 8S. But also, and I don't want to get a bigger motor. I just think it's more weight. And I have to get an MTC motor mount, which is like $75. And then 4S batteries, which, if they're the same size as the 3S ones, not going to be as much runtime. Honestly, this thing's got plenty of power. I don't want to blow up diffs and tires and that stuff. So I think this should be a great setup with that Max 6 and this motor. So I got these fans just to keep temps down. I'm actually really liking these fans. I got one for my dad's Kraton too. It's got this really nice heat sink, fits on there well. I think it's made for a slightly smaller motor, so it's kind of hard to get it on there, but it's on there now. Might be hard to take it off, but it's looking good. And these fans got some crazy power. Once I get everything routed up, I'll show you, but they're definitely going to get some airflow through there. So I think first thing I'm going to do is start off with the Max 6. I'm going to solder these connectors on. Alright guys, here's the Max 6. I haven't taken this out, so I'm going to take this out of the box right here. So let's see that guy. So there it is. This size comparison maybe, so yeah, you can see it next to there. It's not crazy big, which is good, because obviously I want to be able to fit in here. But it's bigger than the Max 8. If I had it around, I'd show you. But definitely bigger than the Max 8. Also, I forgot to mention that when I was getting this, I just kind of told Hollywood, being like, yeah, I kind of had the ESC burn up. And they were really friendly, kind of gave me a lot of advice. Told me kind of some troubleshooting stuff, maybe what went wrong with the ESC, which is what I was kind of trying to convey to you guys, but about what went wrong. But they also, even though I didn't have any warranty, they gave me a discount off of this. Not a big discount, but still nice of them. So that's why I decided to get this, because there's only 20 bucks more to get this than a new Max 8. So thought I'd get this, just bigger capacitors, just overall bigger components, should run cooler. So like I said, I'll get the XT90 soldered on here. Okay guys, so I've got everything set up here. So this is the Perfect Pass soldering iron right here. This thing's really nice. You can set all your temps like this, so you can just go to whatever you want. Heats up really fast. So you got this heat gun, which is really nice. You can adjust your like kind of how much air it blows with this knob, and then your temps are all here. This is the soldering iron. It comes with all of this stuff to clean it, some solder, extra like tips for the parts, all that stuff. So if you want to see a size comparison, this is a Spectrum ESC that came with my dad's Kraton, so it's similar size to the Max 8. So you can see the Max 6 isn't significantly bigger, which is good, but definitely got bigger capacitors and stuff like that. Probably maybe a little bit bigger fan, and it's slightly taller. I mean, you can see, like, it's bigger, but not Max 5 size or anything like that. And then, so these are the XT90s. You can see the size difference between the QS8s. QS8s are crazy. I was thinking about putting, yeah, I'll show you the bolts. I was thinking about putting QS8s on this, because I thought it came with 8-gauge wire, but it just comes with this 10-gauge wire, which is perfect size for the XT90s. And personally, I think it's a little bit too small to really get onto the QS8. You can see how much room's still in there. I did it when I was making an adapter to charge this from XT60 to QS8, just for charging adapter. Obviously, you don't want an adapter like that for anything else, but for charging it would be fine. So it was kind of hard to do that. So I just decided to get XT90s, because if I got QS8s, I have to swap out the batteries and everything too. So I've got all my wires trimmed down. You can see this extra wires because I cut the wires. This came with really long wires. So I think this should be reasonable. And then here's the middle wire. So just make sure you put your heat shrink on before. So before you solder, you're going to be annoyed if you have to resolder it. And then your cover's on. So yeah, basically I've just got the Perfect Pass thing. I got the ESC, and then I've got this fan, and I got safety glasses just for safety glasses, obviously, and then the fan just to blow that smoke away from the soldering, because can be problematic. So anyway, I'm gonna get this soldered up, and then I'll show you how it looks. Okay guys, so there's the first connection. I don't know if you can see that, but that's looking really good right there. I'm happy with that. Another thing, just be careful, because I've had this happen a little bit with your heat shrink. If you keep it too close to like the connection, sometimes the wire will get hot and it'll melt your heat shrink on your wire. So it's kind of annoying. That almost happened with this, but it's fine. But yeah. So anyway, I'll get the other four in there. I just wanted to show you that. Alright guys, I got this all soldered up. I'm really happy with how this turned out. The perfect pass soldering irons were honestly awesome. Like, with the old, like, just kind of handheld soldering iron we had, it would have taken me like an hour just to do those connectors, like, honestly, and they would not have been very good. It took me about literally like 10 minutes, and I'm really happy with how those turned out. So I'm gonna work on mounting the ESC in. So I've got this ESC mount off eBay. It comes with all this hardware, so just gonna look online and see how to mount that up. So I think I'm gonna have to trim off this part to make it sit flush on there, and then I was kind of messing around with some glue and stuff on the ESC to see if it works. So I'm gonna try and clean this up a little bit, but I'll get it mounted and show you. Okay guys, so I've got the ESC all mounted up to the plate. I'll get it in the car soon, but just want to show you. So basically with this plate, I'll put a link in the description for this and the other stuff in the video. But basically, there's 4 countersunk screws. You can see one of them picking out right there that screw into the actual ESC. It comes with the screws. I wouldn't put any longer ones in unless you double check, because the mounting screws in the ESC, like in the case itself, are really shallow. So, and if you put too long screws in, obviously it could cause some problems if you hit some important parts. So yeah, that goes in, and then there's 3 screws that mount this stock kind of plate that slides into the chassis into this ESC plate that I got for this upgrade. So it's this screw, and that screw right here. So you can see that 1, 2, and 3. So the ones that came with it, I think, were 3 by 8 millimeter screws, and those seemed a little bit too short. So I got some 3 by 10 millimeters. I just got this screw kit on Amazon. You can find one like that. That's just all the M3 screws, which are the 2 millimeter hexes. That was like $15. It's got pretty much all the sizes you could need, so I would recommend getting that. So I just grabbed 3 10 millimeter M3 by 10s, and those fit in perfect. Just barely don't poke through, which is good for these ones that would screw into the ESC if they did poke through. This one doesn't really matter. You put whatever size you want on that. So that looks pretty secure, and then it's just these 5 screws that just come with the car to mount this on, because it's the same piece. So I'm gonna unscrew these from here. I just kept those so I wouldn't lose them, and then put them right into the ESC, right into the spot where they went stock. So I'll do that and show you. Alright guys, I got everything screwed in there. You can see Max6 fits in there really nicely. There's just barely enough clearance on this little slider right here. Don't have to worry about this piece here. So, and then it clears the servo too. So I'm really happy with this ESC mount. I'm gonna put the link in the description. I definitely recommend getting that if you're gonna get a Max6 in your Kraton. I'm pretty sure it'll fit other Arma 6S cars. Just make sure before you buy it. It was like $8. Seems to be good material and just works really well. Perfect fitment. So happy with that. I guess now I'm just gonna get the everything plugged in here. So let's see, got my receiver box opened up, so I'm just gonna plug everything in, and then I'm just gonna kind of clean up all these wires. I got some zip ties and stuff, and then also I gotta put this capacitor in. So I'll start working on that. Okay guys, so I've got everything in there, so you can see kind of got all the wires right up through here nicely. Got some zip ties in there, and then I've got my ESC button down here with some double-sided tape. I've got the fan wires out here. I did this earlier, but I got heat shrink on all those fan wires just to keep them from breaking. I've got the capacitor in there and all those wires in there. Gotta get the receiver box on, but everything else is good. Okay guys, I've got everything programmed up on there. I just put the BEC voltage up to 8.4 volts. These fans can't handle that 8.4. You'll see they're even crazier now. And then obviously the servo and that stuff can too. So I also put the turbo timing all the way up to 24 degrees. And I think that's about it for now. But the Bluetooth connected up. That's the nice thing about this Max 6. It has Bluetooth built straight in. Actually, surprisingly, the Max 5 doesn't, so they'll probably update that soon. But turn this thing on, you can hear. You might not be able to hear me with these fans, but Yeah, those are definitely putting off some air. I can feel it coming off of there. So here's the steering, got plenty of speed. Not really enough to show you on the table right here, but we've got throttle. Yeah. Okay, guys, so I set the car down on the ground here so you can see it, but like once I turn it on, but I got it all programmed up. The Bluetooth works really well, so you don't have to have those program cards. That's a nice thing about this Max6 and the Max8 G2S. Surprisingly, the Max5 doesn't have that on the X-Max and XRT, which kind of weird, but they'll probably update that soon to come with it. I mean, I think you can get a separate thing for it, but so yeah, as far as programming, I just bumped the BEC volts up to 8.4 volts. These fans can't handle that, and they are even crazier on 8.4. This motor is on 8.4 volts. This motor is not going to overheat. If it does, then yeah, be surprised. So they also bumped the turbo timing all the way up to 24 degrees. On the Max, I never really had it that high, so I'm gonna play around with it, see what that really does. If you don't know what turbo timing is, it's supposed to like increase the max RPMs for like a brief moment once you get to full throttle. So never really played with it too much, so I'm gonna play with it a little bit with this. And then yeah, so I guess I'll turn this on and show you guys. Oh yeah, I also set the neutral, forward, and reverse range. You gotta do that on all these Hobbywing ESCs when you first get them. So you can hear those fans. They're definitely outputting a lot of air. The 8.4 volts definitely more. This has a smart fan on the ESC, which is why that's not on, which doesn't really help us now because this is on all the time, so it's gonna be loud anyway. But I'll put a link to these fans. They're pretty awesome. It's got heat sink on there. So show you the steering on this thing, 8.4. Plenty of speed. I love these AGF servos. This 55 kg. I'm gonna turn this off for a sec so you can hear me. But yeah, I love these AGS servos. Never had one die. I have about, I think, 3 or 4 of them now. They're great. Definitely recommend them. We got them in the Beardy Carbon, the Monster Truck. And then now I guess we got them in my dad's X-Max and XRT. So they're pretty awesome. And then, yeah, so I guess I'll show you it driving a little bit. Once it starts up. So it's going. I put the punch at 6, which it comes on 5, so definitely got a little bit of giddy up, just going here slow. So anyway, guys, I think that's it for this video. I'm really happy with this. This should be awesome. Just really happy with that fitment of the Max6, and should be good. So I'll put all the links in the description, like I said. So thanks for watching, guys. So I'll have a lot of videos coming out driving this guy.